Well, having been to a lot of the events with AFP and seeing a lot of the previous winners, I think this is really a recognition of what the Business Journal and Wilma does in the community. We're involved with a lot of different nonprofits, helping them promote their causes, their fundraisers. So, it's just great recognition, that the nonprofit community recognizes the things we're involved with.
So I worked with Rob on the Meals for Heroes program, and he started that based on he had seen a news story about a lady in DC who was doing something early on in the pandemic to address two things. Number one, that restaurants that needed more business because of all the restrictions on restaurants that were mostly just doing takeout and delivery at that point, and then the fact that healthcare workers were working a lot more, and obviously their workloads were stressed, and so saw it as a kind of a wonderfully double-edged sword that could benefit the restaurants and then provide meals for healthcare workers.
So we run every year a program called Healthcare Heroes, which is in November, but this year with what was happening in March, we felt like we couldn't wait until November to try to recognize the healthcare community. So once we saw what was happening with local restaurants, we saw an idea in another market where people were raising money from the community, spending all of that money at local restaurants to help them, and then having meals delivered to the healthcare community. So we thought this was a great idea, and we looked out into the community at some partners we could work with, and Scott Adams and Michelle Brose had already created some Facebook groups addressing this from the restaurant side. So we said to them, well, why don't we work together on this? You all have the restaurant connections, we have the connections with the healthcare community, so we created Meals for Heroes from there.
Most of the time, when people have good ideas, it's the execution that sometimes falls short, and Rob immediately saw, hey, let me get some people that I know are already doing good things, get them involved, get on this quickly. And our original goal was $9,000 for the month of April. We hit that in the first day and eventually did over $40,000 worth of meals. I just wanted to recognize him because obviously I work with him, collaborate with him. He's just a great leader and inspires people to give their best, and that proved to be true in this situation too.
I think it's very true what people say, when you give, you end up getting a lot more than you're giving. So being able to see the reaction from the restaurateurs, to see the reaction from the healthcare professionals. Some of the restaurateurs were unbelievable. I would call them up and say, hey, we want to buy these meals. We're doing this program to recognize the healthcare community, and they would start offering to donate the meals. And I would say, no, we're raising money so you all have some revenue. They were really being hit at the time, but they were willing to give even though they were in tough circumstances. And then the healthcare community, just seeing them when the meals were delivered, seeing the folks in Gratitude Lane come through. It was a very tough time. They're away from their families. They're exposing themselves to potential risk. So really just seeing their gratitude ends up paying off a lot more personally, and for our organization being able to do something like this when there's a need in the community.